Hi, wonderful YouTube family. Lisa A. Romano here, the life coach, and I've been asked to do a video to help those of us who are coming out of narcissistic relationships and having a spiritual awakening. At least that's what I think about when I think about waking up to the idea that, oh my God, I've been living this codependent life, asleep to the power within, disconnected from the self, unaware I had a self, and I have been living my life unconscious of this reality, and that I was seeking validation outside of self, that I was people pleasing, yada, 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 yada. And I have children, and I have inadvertently and unconsciously programmed them with some of my dysfunctional programming. So lately, which I think is awesome, so many of you are waking up and emailing me and leaving YouTube messages saying that, okay, I get it. I've been a codependent, and now I'm looking at my children, and now I understand that I have done to them some of the things that were done to me, and oh my God, I'm devastated, and how can I manage the damage at this point? And so this video is dedicated to you, specifically Maria. Thank you, or Marie. Thank you so much for all of your wonderful comments. Okay, so let's get to it. I can offer you the advice that I've used in my own life. When I realized that the big issue for me was, oh my God, I'm the adult child of two unrecovered adult children of alcoholics. I come from a dry home. There was the no talk rule. We never asked for help. We never asked for anything. We weren't allowed to talk about our feelings. We always had to monitor mom and dad's reactions. The home was unpredictable. I never knew when it was going to explode and when the you-know-what was going to hit the fan. And so I've been raised, in a house where, the walls were made of Jell-O and the floors were made of eggshells. And I never learned to have a solid sense of self because I was always worried about everything around me. And when I realized that all of my adult freaking problems, being married to a covert narcissist and being so ridiculously unhappy and so lost and so clinically depressed and having panic disorder, was true. The root of all that was the fact that I was codependent. My identity was wrapped up in how well I was able to please others. Oh my God. Oh my God. What does that mean, dear ones? That means if I couldn't please my mother-in-law, ex-mother-in-law, thank God. If I couldn't please my ex-husband, if I couldn't please his sister, if I couldn't please his brothers, if I couldn't please these people or my mom or my dad or my sister, I had no worth. If I couldn't please my son's kindergarten teacher, who, by the way, was impossible to please, if I couldn't please her, I had no worth. I had no identity. And so, did I understand at the time that that's why I was so freaking fragile? No, of course not. And that's why my life got worse and worse and worse, because I had no awareness of this. I was unaware. I was freaking unaware. So the moment comes where I realize I'm codependent. Light bulbs are going off. And now more than anything, I am like a dog with a bone, and I'm going to figure this crap out because this stuff ends with me. Like, that's it. My kids will not be infected with this stuff. At least I will minimize what's been done. So I began saying things to them like, it is not your responsibility to worry about mommy and daddy. It's our responsibility to worry about how you feel. So how do you feel? Tell me what's going on at school. Oh, you got picked on today? How did that make you feel? How did the other children react? What went on in your head? Like, what was that experience like for you? Oh, daddy isn't coming to pick you up today for visitation? Okay, so how does that make you feel? Mommy, it makes me feel angry. Well, you know what? You have a right to be angry. I would be angry if my daddy didn't come for visitation again. I would be very angry. So what do you want to do about it? Like, how do you want to deal with this anger that you have because dad's just not showing up for you? What do you want to do? I don't know. Maybe we can go to the park and shoot some hoops. Okay, let's go to the park and shoot some hoops. Done. So I learned a couple of things very quickly. That I was codependent because no one checked in with me when I was a little girl. My brain had no concept of self because my outer world did not have any concept of the fact that I had a self. So I realized that the idea of myself needed to be turned on from outside of me. Mom and dad were supposed to say, how do you feel? What do you think? What do you want? What's going on in your head? What would you like to do when you become a big girl? Blah, 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 blah. Never happened. So my brain is like a robot, ding, 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 constantly looking outside for clues and cues on how to exist. Unaware that there is this ability within my being, da-da-da, which is divine, to look at myself. The third eye, people, it's the third eye. We can look at ourselves. Now this is the thing that we have to understand. The self has to acknowledge the brain. The brain can't acknowledge the self. The brain's a computer. So that means that this concept of self, which is whatever, you can call it a vibrational entity within you, or your vibrational entity, you can call it your spirit. For those of you who are agnostic and atheist, call it the self, call it your innate self, your authentic self. I don't care. For those of you who are okay with the term spirit within, the spirit needs to recognize the brain. And then the brain is able to connect to the idea that it has a spirit. But remember, the brain's just a computer. That's it. We have to integrate body, flesh, with the brain, with the self. Okay, mind, body, soul. Mind, body, self. Again, now, we're talking about the kids now, right? So when I realized that I was programmed dysfunctionally because there was no recognition of myself, dear ones, I knew that I had to recognize my children's self. I knew that in every way possible, I had to acknowledge how these kids felt. So when they were crying, I said, it's okay to cry. You want to sit on mommy's lap while you cry? I gave them the idea that feeling their feelings was absolutely normal and essential and valid. That there was nothing wrong with moping around the house because your dad, once again, said he was going to come through and he didn't. When my ex-husband had a really difficult time with the divorce because I called his bluff. He never thought that I was going to follow through. So when I put myself in his shoes, I can understand why he's pissed off. Doesn't mean I like it. Doesn't mean that I think that I deserve the chaos that he tried to dispel into my life. Doesn't mean that. Just means that I can understand when I imagine myself in his shoes, I can understand why he was angry. So when I was dealing with the children, I would say things to them like, Daddy is angry and that's okay. Daddy's anger isn't our responsibility. Daddy's a big boy and it's his job to take care of himself. When you get angry, it's your job to take care of your feelings. It's your job to figure out a way to deal with your anger. You don't stuff it, you don't suppress it, and you don't kick the dog. You don't go beat up your friend. You don't go pick on someone who's smaller than you in school because you're pissed off. You have a right to be pissed off because your parents got divorced. You have a right to be angry because we had to move out of this big, beautiful house and now we're living in this house that mommy's got to redo. You have a right to be pissed off about that. Totally valid. Absolutely valid. But you don't have the right to hurt other people. See, Daddy's angry right now and he's saying mean things to mommy and sometimes he says mean things to you about mommy. That's not very nice. That's inappropriate. I really wish that Daddy found a better way to express his anger. Maybe Daddy can go shoot some hoops. Maybe Daddy could join a gym. Maybe Daddy can go talk to someone. Maybe Daddy could journal. Maybe Daddy could pick up running. Maybe Daddy could get a girlfriend. I don't know. But I began to explain to the children that it was not their responsibility to worry about me and their dad. So when I was having a rough time, and there were plenty of days where I had rough times, and you know, I also understood that I had to teach my children how to live an authentic life. So when they would come home from school, and I was just stressed, man, taking care of 3 kids by yourself as a single mom is just not an easy task. It's just, there's so many hats that you have to wear. You know, the water heater breaks, the car breaks down, you know, the kids have fights at school. They need braces. They need glasses. They don't like you. They hate each other. They hate their life. They won't eat broccoli. I mean, so many things. They have to go to the dentist. Oh my God, nitrous oxide. I'm going to pass out. You're going to give my kid nitrous oxide? You know, what if something happens? You know, grandma dies. The dog dies. The birds die. Oh my God. Like, you know, there's wars everywhere. It's just so many things to think about. Holy crap. So there were days where it got to me where I would just cry. I would just cry. But I realize now that is, human beings have the ability to cry because it's like a pressure cooker. Like there's a release valve. So crying let me let off some steam. So when my kids would come into the kitchen and I'd be cutting the onions and I'd be crying and they said to me, Mama, are you sad? I would say, yes, Mama's sad. Yes, Mama's sad. Mama, why are you sad? I don't know. It's just I wish things were different. And I wish Mommy and Daddy had figured this out a long time ago. And I wish that therapy had worked. Hey, that's all valid stuff. I wish Daddy and I got along. I wish Daddy wouldn't say mean things about me to you. I wish that I could make your life better. I wish I could give you the things that you deserve, but I can't right now. And Mommy's frustrated and she works 7 days a week. And, I'm trying to make good meals and it's just, there's a lot on Mommy's plate right now, but I love you so much. And I want to do a good job. And I just want you guys to be happy. And I'm so sorry for any chaos that I've brought into your life because, I didn't know that I was codependent and I didn't know that, I wasn't living my life the way I should have been living it. I should have been living it from my heart. I should have listened to my heart a long time ago. And I'm just having one of those days where I have to acknowledge how I feel, like I teach you guys how to acknowledge how you feel. But thank you for asking. But Mommy's a good girl, big girl. I didn't mean good girl, but I was a good girl. Mommy's a big girl. And you know what she's going to do? She's going to finish cooking dinner, and then she's going to go upstairs and take a nice hot bath, maybe light a candle, maybe do some reading, and then I'm going to journal, maybe exercise, and I promise you, I'm going to feel so much better. Now, there are tremendous lessons in that, moms and dads, tremendous lessons. The lessons are, it's okay to cry. The lessons are, it's okay to talk about negative feelings, or it's okay to talk about being uncomfortable. If you've come from a dysfunctional home, the message you received was, it's not okay to talk about being uncomfortable. You got to make believe you happy, because that's going to piss crazy daddy off if he knows that you're not happy. We all know that story. Or mom's a lunatic, a narcissist, a biatch, and you got to pretend like she's, Mother Teresa because, the neighbors are over. It's craziness. It's nonsense. That's no way to live. And it's the invalidation. It's the disconnect from the inner experience of the child to the outer experience of the child. From that space, from the inner experience to the outer experience, that's where we get messed up. It's the lie that we have to live. It's the lie that we're living and no one's validating for us that messes us up. So dear ones, if we understand that's what messes us up, then we know that doing the opposite is what helps keep our children healthy. So when we get a bill that we don't have the money to pay for, we admit it. Mommy doesn't have the money to pay that bill today. You know what? Let me call the company and see if they'll accept partial payment today. There you go. So we tell the truth. We tell the truth. Daddy decides that he's not coming to pick the kids up because he's pissed that Mommy went on a date last week. We tell the truth. I'm sorry, guys. Daddy's not coming today. Why? He's a little upset at Mommy. Mommy, that's not fair. You're right. That's not fair. But we can't control Daddy. And we can't make him do what we'd like him to do. The only thing that we can control is what we're going to do right here, right now. So who wants to go to the park and fly some kites? So the message is onward, forward. When you're having a difficult moment, we stop as a family and we acknowledge it. We validate one another. We share that space with our children and say, it's okay. I don't care how young they are. I don't think there's anything wrong with using the word codependent. You can tell a 5-year-old, Mommy's sad because she used to care more about what other people thought than what she thought. And now Mommy's learning to care about what she thinks. That's called being codependent. And I don't ever want you to be codependent. I want you to have your own mind. I want you to think your own thoughts. And I want you to be responsible for your own happiness. So if people are upset that you don't agree with them, that's okay. You can respect that they disagree with you, but you can still be okay. It's not your job. It's not your job to please other people. It's not your job to make sure that other people like you. You just be yourself. And you will attract people into your life that like you because you like yourself. That's the way this world works. So what we want to do is we want to find language that is suitable and digestible for for our child's age, whatever is age appropriate. So in a nutshell, the goal is damage control. The sooner you start talking to your children about this, and certainly before the age of 12, because before the age of 12, they're still getting programmed. After the age of 12, they take that program on the road. So be careful. Start talking early about these terms like codependency and a loss of self and being disconnected from the self and honoring the self. So that's really important. The second thing to remember is that the goal is to validate the child's inner experience. Very, very important. The third thing is to make sure that your children understand that it's not their job to worry about you. It's your job to worry about them. The fourth thing that I want to suggest is that when your children are having a rough day, acknowledge it. If one of if you do something wrong, acknowledge it. I'm sorry immediately. Boom. If your spouse does something wrong, it's very, very important to harness the lesson that we can't control what mommy does, or we can't control what daddy does. We can only control what we do next. And I really think that if you just take a few of those lessons forward, that you will effectively minimize the damage that has been created up until now, dear ones. It's not easy. It's not easy. I think waking up to the idea that you're codependent is truly a spiritual awakening, because waking up and saying, oh my God, I'm codependent, is like lifting the veil off. And again, I'm not religious, dear ones. Believe it or not, I'm not religious, but I am very, very aware of my spiritual nature. And I love the Bible because it's full of great psychology lessons. It says that when man was born, a great sleep falls upon him. And I think that's what we all experience until we wake up. And then when we wake up, we realize that we have persecuted ourselves, but we can resurrect ourselves. And we are our own salvation. It's so awesome. It's so wonderful, and it's so beautiful if you can harness the lessons, dear one. I want to thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I want you to thank you so much for liking my channel. I honor all of those of you who reach out to me. I love coaching you. I love teaching you, and I just love spreading this good news. I bow to the love and light in you, dear ones. Namaste.